The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Jesus spoke this parable to his disciples. The kingdom of heaven shall be compared to 10 maidens who took their lamps and went to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish and 5 were wise. For when the foolish took their lamps, they took no oil with them, but the wise took flasks of oil with their lamps. As the bridegroom was delayed, they all slumbered and slept. But at midnight there was a cry, Behold, the bridegroom, come out to meet him. Then all those maidens rose and trimmed their lamps. And the foolish said to the wise, Give us some of your oil, for our lamps are going out. But the wise replied, Perhaps there will not be enough for us and for you. Go rather to the dealers and buy for yourselves. And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came, and those who were ready went in with him to the marriage feast, and the door was shut. Afterward the other maidens came also, saying, Lord, Lord, open to us. But he replied, Truly I say to you, I do not know you. Watch therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
You know neither the day nor the hour. It would seem that towards the end, Augustine and his brother had an inkling that the hour was come. We owe a lot to St. Augustine. He gave us a genre of writing, the autobiography, which has stuck with us to this day. These confessions allow us to see both his soul and what touched that soul. And throughout we see a gentleness every time that Monica, Saint Monica, whose feast it is mentioned. We have from his pen what actually happened at this point when the hour was come. Son, for my own part, I no longer find joy in anything in this world. And we have an instance in Christian art famously captured when they're actually together contemplating what no eye has seen or ear has heard, what God has prepared for those who love him. They are together in some kind of ecstatic mode, looking upwards and beyond, there by the sea at the port of Rome, which is Ostia, that means doors. They got that far. We must remember that Monica, the faithful mother, would not let him go. She followed him up to Italy from North Africa, and she pleaded with the Lord for his soul, and the prize was great. And it is that they're looking upwards just before she goes upwards, and together mother and son are contemplating eternity. And she has this to say to him: Son, for my own part, I no longer find joy in anything in this world. What I am still to do here, and why I am here, I know not. Now that I no longer hope for anything from this world, one thing there was for which I desired to remain still a little longer in this life, that I should see you a Catholic Christian before I died. Now, by the way, the use of this expression Catholic at that early point in time is to be noted. What other body can claim continuity with that body other than the Catholic Church? The name is the same, the entity is the same, the saints are the same, and they have the same message. Securus judicat orbis terrarum. The whole world judges safely, the phrase that haunted the Anglican Newman until he yielded to the evidence. This God has granted me in superabundance, in that I now see you, his servant, to the contempt of all worldly happiness. What then am I doing here? What answer I made, I do not clearly remember. Within 5 days, or not much longer, she fell into a fever. And in her sickness, she one day fainted away, and for the moment lost consciousness. We ran to her, but she quickly returned to consciousness, and seeing my brother and me standing by her, she said, as one wondering, where was I? Then, looking closely upon us as we stood wordless in our grief, she said, here you will bury your mother. I stayed silent and checked my weeping. But my brother said something to the effect that he would be happier if she were to die in her own land and not in a strange country. But as she heard this, she looked at him anxiously, restraining him with her eye, because he savoured of earthly things. And then she looked at me and said, see the way he talks. And then she said to us both, lay this body wherever it may be. Let no care of it disturb you. This only I ask of you, that you should remember me at the altar of the Lord, wherever you may be. And when she had uttered this wish in such words as she could manage, she fell silent, as her sickness took hold of her more strongly. the hour had come. She, very exceptionally for the time, being of a good cultured family, was taught letters and given education. She was married to Patricius, and it is not clear what actually happened in the case of Augustine, who was certainly given a good education, but had this girlfriend. Whether in fact the fact that he was from a good, fairly well-to-do family in the context, and certainly of Roman culture, was not allowed to marry easily someone of a lower caste, as it were. It's possible that that would explain things. Anyway, from the union with his friend came a Deodatus, a boy of quality. We know that, and he died at the age of 19, but had he lived, he probably would have become also a great mind like his father. He was involved in the early experiment which Augustine had, a kind of philosophical monastic life, but he petered out at an early age. And of course, the story of Augustine is its own, when he was called suddenly to be priest and bishop. But with regard to his Holy Mother, we must remember the tears of Monica. She, in her person, as it were, englobes all the tears of womanhood in the context of wayward sons. They are many in our time. How many good families see children going astray? We need therefore to be aware that one engenders souls not only physically but spiritually, and it's not enough to produce children. We need to carry them in the womb of our soul. This day is a reminder of the power of prayer, sacrificial prayer, unceasing prayer. God does hear. The complication is that the graces may be impetrated but blocked by the recipient, because there is always the divine courtesy. It doesn't work automatically. The graces are hovering over the soul that is being prayed for, but that soul has power over God in a sense to say no. God does not want robots, and therefore the whole issue of prayer for others is not simple. I conclude. The parable of these wise virgins applies to us all. The lamp of charity burning, that we can all do, and if we do not, it applies also to us, the warning. The door was closed. A terrible, terrible phrase. We can bolt the door ourselves. What huge responsibility a soul bears when it says no to the pool of grace. Questa santa rappresenta tutte le mamme della storia, le mamme che soffrono e piangono, pregano e sono in ansia continua per i loro figli smarriti, e anche un'indicazione della potenza della preghiera. Non è semplice la preghiera, perché la preghiera può impetrare e meritare le grazie, ma l'anima può anche dire di no e chiudere se stessa la porta di cui si parla nel Vangelo. La porta dell'anima, rimanendo chiusa, blocca lo Spirito Santo e le grazie meritate delle altre non arrivano, se arrivano, ma sono bloccati da noi stessi. Tante sono testimonianze di anime salvate dalla preghiera della mamma, belle testimonianze. Ci vuole poco, cedere a quello che sta lì accanto al cuore. Purtroppo alcuni dicono no e la porta rimane chiusa. There is a place where peace and mercy meet, where humankind the rays of Godhead can in darkness greet, and healing find. There is a manhood where divinity looks out to us from all eternity. A stream of light, a beam of ancient grace, given in this hour for us who in this tender face behold the power that uttered the time that in the moments be. I see this gaze that waited long for me. Oh, Master, draw me close to this soft heat.